This is Project Group 5's Cola Wars presentation. Historically, the carbonated soft drink industry has yielded high profits due to weaknesses in all 5 of Porter's 5 forces. Although the rivalry was intense, the 10% annual growth in industry sales allowed for the brands to create high brand loyalty and be profitable at the same time. The threat of new entrants was weak because of the heavy marketing expense dedicated to differentiation and establishing a solid brand image, as well as the heavy investment in bottling warehouses and distribution networks, as well as the long-term relationships these brands were able to establish through the CDA contract and agreements. The threat of substitutes was low because of the multiple outlets through which these brands were available to consumers. And the prices were constantly fluctuating, but consumers were still buying because the industry was growing. The buyer power was weak because of the cost savings the soft drink brands were able to deliver through direct retailer distribution. They were able to negotiate prices specific to each outlet, and they were able to deliver on high margins for shelf space to the retailers. Supplier power was also weak because these soft drinks were made from inexpensive raw materials.
So going to the grocery store, you can see that there literally is a war for your dollars going on. And if you break down the industry further, you have bottlers and producers. The bottlers typically have a lower operating income than the concentrate producers. One of the reasons could be because the concentrate producers really only have to blend a few raw ingredients. One factory could supply the entire United States, while bottlers have a more capital-intensive operation to produce the high-speed bottling plants and keep them running and distributing them to all the retailers. Looking here at the Smiths, you can see that Coke has a premium on shelf space that they've paid for. They have the front of the aisle, they have the left, and they have the right. And they do this because 29% of all CSDs go through supermarkets, and bottlers compete for that shelf space, which takes a hit on their operating income percentage. So they also have to face with a lot of other competitors, not only Pepsi and Coke, but also private labels. That is another force. And the bargaining power of buyers, such as regional grocery chains, to Smiths, they can negotiate their prices down because they have low switching costs and they have many similar products.
The rivalry among Coke and Pepsi has had a positive sum effect on soft drink industry. During the 50s, Beat Coke motto challenged bottlers to focus on take-home sales. During the 60s, new product offerings resulted both from Pepsi and Coke. During the 70s, the Pepsi Challenge rolled out major Pepsi branding campaign, while Coke renegotiated bottling contracts to lower costs. The 80s resulted in massive consolidation where both Pepsi and Coke created independent bottling subsidiaries. The dimensions of competition over the decades were based largely on dimensions other than price, resulting in the positive sum rivalry. Rivalry was based on brand, product delivery, accessibility to buyers. Rivalry resulted in raising barriers facing new entrants. Rivalry expanded the industry. There was a race to meet the needs of new customers and new customer segments. And rivalry expanded the profit pool. Costs were reduced by leveraging with the influence over suppliers and distributors. Ultimately, the soft drink industry leads returns among U.S. industries at 37.6% ROIC.
So the question is, how do both companies sustain profits as there's a flattening demand for carbonated soft drinks? There is a silver lining in this. Mainly, they can leverage some of their past strategic moves, and that's investing in advertising for the product mix beyond carbonated soft drinks. As you'll see in this graph here, at the very top, carbonated soft drinks are the most profitable, but have flatlined in gallons per capita consumed, whereas tea, wine, and powder drinks have all increased over the past 3 years, and this is going from 2007 to 2009. So going back to the previous slide, there's a few options here that are available to both companies. Namely, in the past, Pepsi acquired Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC, and they did this to streamline their product consumption, and where they could offer only their beverages at these locations. Also in the past, both companies have spent large amounts of capital in purchasing various bottling companies. So they can leverage these past strategic moves to explore new business opportunities. But I think the real key here is, as you saw in the previous graph, there's a downward trend for carbonated soft drinks. So both companies need to act now and realign their strategies. Thank you.